The Grafham Christmas Pursuit, one of my favourite events of the year. Normally a pretty good turnout, however it can normally be quite cold and windy. I've not normally done very well in this because I've either had a boat breakage or I've forgotten to rig something on my boat, but I was determined this year not to run into any issues. Now, as you can see from the course, it takes you all over the lake, and we were purposely using some of the new marks that Grafham's just had, but yeah, bit odd with the direction of the wind, so a little bit challenging to do well in a 600. Now, as you can see here with the start, we were starting with the K6s. Now, the 4000s used to share the start, but they started 1 minute ahead, which means that now I was really trying to make sure we got a clean start here and I didn't get stuck under those massive sails that the K6s have. So you can see I've got a nice getaway here, but Alistair there in 728 has got himself a little bit buried, so unfortunate for him, but I was able to get away, and I knew I wanted to attack pretty quickly based on the bias for the first mark, especially watching all the other boats start. You kind of get a good idea of like what works and what doesn't work, so I was able to get away onto a quick tack pretty quickly, so very nice. So first of all, we're going over to X, which is in front of the clubhouse, which is upwind, and then we're immediately going to bear away and go onto a run, which is sort of more like a broad reach. Oh, there goes my hat. I don't realise it's gone yet, so I go for the tack here, you see, and then once I've come out the tack, I assume it fell off during the tack. It's not until I looked at the footage later I realised that it fell off when I tapped it to check if it was still there. Now you can see the look on my face of, huh? Where's it gone? Complete look of confusion. So we're now coming up on the ley line for X. You can see the 4000s have just rounded it. Already catching them out quite nicely because they were quite behind the line. I was actually a bit behind the line too, but they were very behind it. Bit of a slow attack from me there. Should have stayed on the rack a little bit longer, but stalled it a little bit, but that's fine. It gets quite light here because of the trees on the shore, so just gently does it to get around this mark, and then immediately going into a hard bear away over to the mark. And you can see in the distance the 4000s have got their kites up, and there's a 500 ahead that I think is already starting the next beat. So now we're going, getting all the settings off. We can see Alistair's got past the K6s, but I've managed to get a bit of a good lead on him, which is good. Going downwind now, which is quite nice. I do have to pop a couple of jibes in. I think I probably could have just soaked the whole thing, but there was a bit of pressure I found on the right, so I thought I'd take that rather than try and squeeze really low and just lose all my speed. So just go for quite a nice jibe. I only got the rack a little bit in the water there, so I'd rate that okay. Got my weight forwards quickly, and then I do another jibe here. You can see the mark there. It's red. No, it's yellow. My bad. And then we're going around this one. Now, after this, we're going upwind. Again, it's very biased. It's mostly done on the port tack. But just we're kind of run into a bit of trouble because you can see the 4000s ahead of me just in the distance. Now, I'm kind of in their dirt. Kind of. I don't really want to be sat here. I felt like I just couldn't get the boat to quite get going. It just felt like I just was getting a little bit of turbulence from them, and I just didn't really like that. So, yeah, I just sort of like stuck it out and knew they would eventually tack. When they did, I made sure to go a little bit past them before I tacked too. It felt quite good for a while, and then I decided needed to start making some ground, but I got tacked as it started to lift, so I just completely stalled it. At least I was able to get out the other side pretty quick, but yeah, just tack straight into a header. Not what you want. Not what you want, but boat's going much nicer now. It definitely felt nicer, that's for sure. I'm caught up to the 4000s now. So this is the yellow 4000. I caught right up to them here. I was thinking, yeah, I can get past these guys. Typically, I'd start on the start line with them, and because I'm quicker than them upwind, I could typically get them before the first mark, and unless it was really windy or there was a really long run, I could probably keep my distance on them. But here, I've really got to work quite hard, and I've just got this constant wall of dirt coming off the two of them. It's not helping my situation. Now, for context, I've actually come second in a few of the Pursuit races at Grafham, so I was really determined to try and do one better and actually get the bullet, but it wasn't looking my way with the wind direction and the course having a lot of downwind in it, and these 4000s that wouldn't let me past. So, I mean, the whole point of a Pursuit is that everyone finishes at the same time, assuming that they're all the same ability and the wind speed's consistent. But we knew it was a dying breeze. It was really nice and windy when the first few boats started, and so I knew it was going to be hard to catch them. Here, I'm trying really hard to get overlap on the 4000. I can see Ollie's having a look over to make sure that they don't have to give me overlap. They did. And I managed to sneak in here, and I know, let me go for my tack really quick before they try and tack behind me or anything. Get in there, tack nice and quick. The thing I didn't really think about is I've tacked straight into the dirt of the next 4000. So while that was a good manoeuvre on the other 4000, and we can actually get a quick glimpse back at them in a second to see that I've actually come out ahead of them really nicely. I've managed to just get them on the inside there and come out, because I did a really nice tack actually. I've been able to come out on top. But I'm now in the dirt of the next guys, which is, you know, that's part of sailing. You've got to sort of plan a little bit further ahead. So I'm a little bit annoyed about that, but as you can see, because I am going quicker than them upwind, I am able to sort of break into my own lane, and now I wouldn't say I'm really getting much dirt from them, but this bottom corner going down to, I think it's L on the course, is really shifty. Now you can't really tell, but where those pylons are in the corner, it's really hilly. It's quite high up, so the sort of breeze sort of is all a bit turbulent. There's a load of trees at the bottom of the hill. You don't really see it unless you were to like go for a walk around the lake or cycle around, which is something I've done a few times. Yeah, it gets quite a bit holy. So me and the blue 4000 purposely go a little bit past the ley line, knowing it's going to shift back, which it does. Spoiler alert. The yellow 4000, I think they take a bit more of a risk, and they had to squeeze a little bit, so it slowed them down a bit more. Whereas because I went a bit further, I was able to sort of reach down to the mark, and as you can see, the blue 4000 is really kind of having to fight for a bit of height there. But I was able to sort of catch up to them a little bit, which is good. I've passed one, just got one to go, but now we're onto a really long run from the bottom end of the lake all the way up to the top where the water tower is. So I'm not feeling too confident here. I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to catch them. And there you can see blue 4000s having some issues with their kite, but once they got it going, they just disappeared. There wasn't much I could do. I couldn't really figure out if it was a reach or a run. It's like I just couldn't really figure it out, to be honest. And as it went on, I think the wind bent a little bit around the reservoir. So as I got a little bit further along, it sort of became more of a run. You'll notice I just ditched the trapeze shortly. There's the yellow 4000 going past me now as well, which is, you know, depressing. Now, I got a little bit confused. There's a mark called H. I just went past it, that red one. I thought that was the mark I was going to. I knew it was a red one, and I knew it was the brand new one, which is Y. Now, Y is actually a little bit further north of it, and I thought that was it. And then I went a bit further and realised that I didn't actually need to go around that one, so I probably could have gone a bit lower. But hey-ho, you live and learn. Now I'm basically going on a dead run. Well, as close to a dead run as I can. That's Y. I've just gone past Y, and now we're going towards T, which is a little bit more to the right. So I do jibe off to get a little bit better pressure and go this way for a little bit. I can see the 4000s are nice and comfortably ahead. But I do actually catch them up a little bit, so I haven't. Not all is lost. You know, I've still got a little bit of hope, and we can see the slow boats ahead too as they're starting to head back towards the left to go to S, I believe, which is after T. So here's the yellow 4000. So they've actually not gained on me huge amounts. So maybe I could have done a few things better after I went round that windward mark. Potentially I was trying too hard to make it go on a reach and actually just stalling more. Hard to tell, really, to be honest, but here I'm just trying to soak it really low. The breeze is a lot better up this top end, and as you can see, I'm pretty good for the mark. The mark's that yellow thing to the left. There's the water tower, which is why it's called T. I'm able to take the jibe and get myself ready for the next beat. And here's where I'm hoping I can get past this 4000 once and for all, because I can get them on the upwind where there's less weight in my boat, just a little bit quicker to get accelerated. So they've gone around the mark. They're trapezing. It's looking good for me, but I have should have maybe jibed a little bit later because I've really stalled going into this mark. And as you can see, I've come in really nicely, but yeah, still a bit light, not quite trapezing as I would like. Still a little bit of speed I could do with to really catch them. We can see they're the lead boats just going past on the right hand side. Loads of slow boats like lasers, solos. I'm going to struggle to catch them, to be honest. It feels like I'm actually quite close. I'm only one mark behind them, but it took quite a while to get to S, actually. As you can see, this is all sped up, but it's taking a fair while, but I am gaining on the 4,000. Now here I'm thinking, we're going to the mark, we're going round it to starboard, and then we're jibing immediately and going downwind. You can see the 500 on the right there with the blue spinnaker. So I'm thinking, how am I going to get round these guys? I don't really want to go underneath. So I think about it, and I'm like, if I can just get this close reach sorted, I can actually go round the top of them, manage to break the overlap before the 3 boat lengths, and then put the jibe in. So here I'm able to keep my weight out just to help the boat steer around this corner. But the problem is I need my ratchet, so I it really hurt actually, and it was like kind of left me with a bit of a sort of like my funny bone. So a little bit slow getting out onto the trapeze there, but I was able to get a little bit of acceleration. Now I wasn't really sure what this angle of sailing was, to be honest. There's the Musto going past. I was sort of worried they would catch me. And there's Alistair going past as well. Now it's sort of a run. Obviously the spinnaker boats have managed to hoist their kites. But does that mean I can reach? And the answer is not really. This was kind of more of a broad reach. I tried really hard to sort of get the boat to go, but it just wasn't working. You can see I'm really struggling to get past that flying 15. But I eventually got it to go a little bit nicely. It's sort of, maybe I was sort of trying too hard to get it to go on a reach, because you'll notice once I go around this next mark, which I believe is R, you'll notice that I can harden up, and then this is where I can make most of my overtakes. So there's a Europe just ahead. I'm able to sheet in a little bit, put a bit of kicker on, and then once I got around here, the boat really started to want to do what it does best and get going. Not quite on the rack, but I did get on the rack a few times on this, and this is a really long reach now, all the way to, I think the next mark is B, and we're going from B back on ourselves to another windward mark. So here the boat's going really nicely. I've managed to get my weight forwards, still trapezing up my higher setting, but I'm now getting past the slow boats, which is the key thing here. So if I can I'm just hoping, can I keep this up? Now, something I'm trying to work on for 2025 is how I deal with lulls and gusts. Heading up for those gusts to sort of get the speed, bearing away for the lulls. It's not really something I'm super confident about. I understand the concept, not really that great at putting it into practice, to be honest, and so it's normally the reaches where I lose out in races. Upwind and downwind, I can make some good gains by picking the right side of the beat or the run, but yeah, here's a good reach. I'm really catching up to the Hadron H2 there. But yeah, I'm making some good gains here, and I'm purposely going over the top to get some clear air. But yeah, I just couldn't quite figure out when to bear away and when to head up. Maybe someone can let me know what you think, what I could have maybe done differently, help me improve my sailing. I'm always open to feedback. So here I'm getting up to the mark. As you can see, everyone's tacking immediately to get clear air. And so I've got a little bit of traffic here, get a lot of dirt, and it's just, I don't want to jive. The boat really wants to. I just want to get around this mark and focus on getting upwind. Now, this beat was horrible, because here I've really caught up to all the slow boats. But if you can see, they're everywhere. They're like everywhere I go, there's a slow boat. And so I'm thinking, let's go this way and tack out. But I've got dirt from that laser ahead. So I'm like, I really want to tack out and get out their way, ideally ASAP. They've got some ribbon thing off the top of their sail, which will be giving it even more dirt and really turbulating the air. Now here we can go ahead. Again, I just can't get it going. It's just really not feeling great. There's the Hadron again, a different one. Just doesn't feel quite right. I think I get knocked and then decide to tack back. I'm thinking about it. It just felt horrible. The boat it felt windy and it felt wavy, but the boat just did not want to go. Maybe I was depowering a bit much. I mean, I spoke to a few others about this. They felt the same. They felt it was just a bit just dirt everywhere, no matter where you looked. Obviously accelerating a little bit better here, which is nice. The mark is off to the right hand side, so I'm nearly on the ley line, not quite. I decided to tack on this header I get before that laser gets past me. Even though I had right away, I wanted to just get going before they decided to do anything. Keep going again. Still can't get past that blimmin' full rig laser. Now the ley line's coming up on the left hand side, so we're nearly there. There's the EPS, so managed to get past them, which was good. And the 4000s have nearly made it to the mark. You can see in the distance just underneath where I'm standing, that's where the mark is. So I'm nearly there. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, right, let's go for it. Key thing was really just trying to get a lane and keep clean, but just, I don't know, just nothing made sense in my head. Okay, that was an alright attack, to be honest. So now we just got to go get around to that mark. I was able to actually get some good speed here and really accelerate into the mark with some good speed. I actually think the rounding was pretty good too. So you got some good speed. I could have probably stood a little bit further forwards, to be honest. I get a little bit carried away with moving my weight backwards. This is Z, one of the other new marks. And here, now we've only got a few minutes left of the pursuit, and I'm thinking, right, I actually didn't know how long we had left, but I'm thinking at this rate I can get past all the solos and I can get myself into a top 5 position and all will be good. Apart from, I didn't realise we only had a few minutes left, so I managed to get past a couple solos. I'm really catching up to the 2 ahead that are fighting each other. That did help me a little bit because they were really shadowing one another, and I just went round the outside of them and went, thank you very much. There's the Musto getting me. He was able to hoist his kite for most of the last, third of the race, so I'm not surprised he caught me. That cat there started about 4 minutes early, so they got OCS in the end. Managed to get past the 2 solos. Here's the last mark here. I think this is K, and then we get finished not long after this, so I'm making sure those solos have no rights inside of me because they are just behind me. You'll see in a minute as I hook on and trapeze there, right there. Oh, maybe you can't quite see, but they were right behind me. And yeah, just like, let's go for some speed. Now, the annoying thing now is the wind picked up. It was really nice on the way back in. I went for a few reaches. Generally just had, did what a 600 does best, but there's a committee boat that's finished us, so I was pretty happy with that. I think I came 13th or 14th in the end out of about 30 boats, 40 boats. So pretty good overall. Here's a couple clips of me reaching at the end here as well, just to really see what a 600 is all about. But maybe next year I can try again and see if I can actually win the Christmas Pursuit. Maybe one year it'll be mine, but we'll have to see.